Okay, again, if you're not familiar, whenever I review a lot of the more geeky ephemera type stuff, I tend to give my overall thoughts at the beginning and then have a really big spoiler section after that. So there'll be breakpoints in between so you know when to skip to if you don't want to see spoilers, okay? Alright, again, this is the review for the first episode of Ms. Marvel. I'll get to the others when I get to there. Anyway, like I said, this is the review for the first episode of Ms. Marvel. And so, yeah, I'll just give my overall thoughts right here, right now. I'm going to give this episode an A. I think this does a wonderful job of setting up the premise of the series. There's some great visual styles techniques that help bolster the plot up a lot. The performances are all really warm and genuine and fun. And there's some good humor. There's everything just kind of works, and it does a really, like I said, it does a really good job of setting up the series. It's near perfect. If there are any drawbacks, there are a few. When are they going to get to the fireworks factory moments, if you catch my drift? But other than that, it's not terrible at all. So yes, again, there's no real reason to complain here, unless you're, not a fan of teeny bopper television shows, because yeah, this is kind of in the vein of like a CW soap opera, but a little more fun-spirited.
Fine. I'll challenge you for it. You're on. Yes, I won.
We will meet again.
The X-Men have hit Burger King. Now in every Big Kids meal, you can get one of the X-Men like Cyclops or Rogue, and a mini CD-ROM with games and original comic adventures. Rated E for everyone. You can collect all 8 at Burger King, home of the real Big Kids meal.
Okay, again, this is the spoiler section, so skip to this point if you want to avoid everything, alright? Okay, anyway, yeah, so the first episode is called Generation Y. W-H-Y, not Generation Y, because obviously Kamala is Gen Z. But still, it's Kamala Khan. She's still a big superhero geek. In this case, she's a big Captain Marvel fan, or Carol Danvers, to be more precise. Yeah. It's kind of funny because Captain Marvel is not very popular amongst the superhero fans, because it's seen that because she's constantly leaving Earth that she's abandoning her duties here. So there's kind of a unique bit of that. Anyway, Kamala writes fanfic. She does like sort of little fanfic films, for lack of a better term, that she posts on YouTube. Kind of little stop motion animation stuff. And she does also admit that she ships Carol with Ant-Man, which, okay, I don't think they interacted that much, but that's kind of funny. And so you're kind of getting that. And you also see where this is kind of the big detriment for Kamala, in the sense that she's in high school and they're gearing up she's about to enter her junior year, basically, and it's like, hey, you maybe need to start thinking about college and what you're going to do with your life, and you need to maybe start taking things a little seriously and not constantly fantasizing. And, well, she's constantly fantasizing. In fact, she's all gearing up to go to this Avengers convention that's being held with a Captain Marvel cosplay contest that she wants to compete in. And so you get that, Bruno is in it. They don't show him constantly working at the convenience store, but he's there quite a bit. And he's also working on a costume. He's trying to help her generate some excitement with it, some flourishes. He gives her these gloves with these LED lights put into it so they'll light up, and so she could look like she's firing blasts and everything. And then you also have the clashing with not so much her brother Amir. He is shown to be he's supposed to be a bit more devout in his Islamic faith, but other than that, yeah, I don't think he's quite to the point where he was so annoying in the comics. He's a little more relatable to her here, and even defends her at a couple of points. But our parents are still very stern, very strict, very concerned about everything, and so you get that. In fact, after Kamala fails her driver's test by destroying the instructor's car, as well as her own family's, they basically sort of forbid her from going to the convention. And that kind of upsets her. She says, Amir got to do everything normal, but he gets away with it because he's a guy. I'm a girl, and you're just, you're holding everything against me. And, there's a bit of truth, obviously, to that. And as this happened too, a package arrives from Kamala's grandma. This is where we get the big divergence from the comics. They're not doing an inhuman angle, and the powers are not entirely similar. She doesn't have her size-altering ability, which we'll get to when I'll get to that part. But yeah, she doesn't have her size-altering ability. But this package arrives from her grandmother, and it's like, I don't know. I think it's implied that something has happened. Her grandmother has possibly some form of dementia or memory loss, because she just sends these random packages over and over again. And it's her mother's for the sake of this. And, I think that's also playing a little bit into the idea of, maybe her mother was also a very flights of fancy type person. And they're seeing a lot of that in Kamala, which is why her parents might be a little more stricter than usual. But there's this bracelet in there, and I wonder if they're going to say that's a negaband, which is also part of the Captain Marvel lore. Marvel, the Marvel Captain Marvel, the first Marvel Captain Marvel, to be more precise, there was a point where he had these negabands that he would clang together, and he could switch from the Earthbound world to the negative zone, because he spent most of his time trapped in the negative zone, and then Rick Jones had negabands on his wrist, and they would clang them together and they would switch places temporarily. So Marvel could go out and be a hero, and Rick would then have to fend for his life in the negative zone, which is a dangerous place. Excuse me, sorry. And she does. Yeah, it takes her a while to eventually put the bracelet on, because she sneaks out to the convention is what happens. I guess there was one other point too. The parents are also concerned because of the cosplaying and because of how tight the costumes tend to get. And again, teenage girl dressing up in that way, especially with the Islamic faith. Yeah, you can maybe understand why they would not be too pleased about something like that. Or they would be a bit more concerned, I guess. I'm not saying it's right, but you can at least understand where they would come from. And heck, at one point they do say, okay, you can go to the convention, but you have to cosplay as the Hulk, and you have to wear this big, bulky, padded Hulk costume, so you don't, again, look sexy, for lack of a better term. But she lashes out and just calls them, stupid, and, And, like I said, she eventually winds up sneaking out to go to this convention, and this is kind of where the drawback of the story hits. There's this, she details the plan to Bruno, and, it's like, she does it via this comic, and it's like, I'm gonna sneak out, I'm gonna jump to this out my window to this tree branch, climb down, you're gonna be there, we're gonna take our bikes to this point, to this bus stop so we can get on the bus. And at one point, we're going to jump off the bridge and land on the bus and land there, so we're right there when the bus stops, we can get on it. And everyone's going to be amazed. And it's like, and he's like, I don't think things work the way you think they do. So much so that when they actually do implement it, for one, she jumps onto this tree branch and it breaks and falls and she lands on the ground. And it takes her another 5 minutes. So they missed the initial point to stop, though. That's how they do manage to catch it. Thankfully without jumping on the roof. But in the process she loses her bike. I thought this was how the parents were going to catch her, because the cops would find the bike and maybe trace it back. But no, not entirely. And, she goes to the convention and she puts her costume on, she loses the gloves, but she still has this bracelet that she found. So she finally manages to clip it on, and she starts feeling weird, and that's when she sort of falls in this weird parallel dimension, snaps back out of it. She goes on stage where it turns out Zoe, the class queen bee, for lack of a better term. Do they still use that term? You get the idea. Is wearing a sexy Captain Marvel outfit, is up there too. She gets up there and suddenly, she starts firing sparks off. She fires this giant, crystal thing that beams out and knocks over, of all things, an Ant-Man head, and starts rolling that throughout the convention. And everyone starts going wild because they think it's cool. And then suddenly, other things start falling down. A giant Mjolnir comes down and takes out Zoe. And, but thankfully, Kamala catches her, extends, she doesn't quite extend her hand out, she extends a, psychic hand out to catch Zoe. So she gets saved, and Zoe thinks it's cool. I don't think Zoe is entirely pieced together. It's supposed to be Kamala, but you never know. And, everything looks cool. It's like, oh, wow, that was great. And they still, even though, like, all havoc is being wrought at this convention, like, everyone's still having a blast. And, she winds up being out way too long, so her parents, she comes home to the fact that her mother is sitting in the bedroom waiting for her, and it's like, and she says, again, hey, you need to think about what you're going to do. I'm tired of these flights of fancy. And I think this is where, again, she implies that the same thing happened with her grandmother, and, it didn't turn out well. So I do wonder where they're exactly going with that. And again, like I said, this was really fun, really enjoyable. Again, there's a lot of the teenage melodrama stuff that if you're not into that, you're probably going to have to deal with it if you want to watch this show. But again, I don't think it's too terribly bad. I mean, it's not as much as it was in the comic, at least. But still, like I said, very enjoyable. The only real drawback is, again, like, some really, really padded out scenes where we're seeing, like, the artwork is cool. Like, there's artwork that comes to life. There's, like, graffiti. Because you see her having these fantasies, these comic book-like fantasies. And that's fun and all. But, yeah, it's like, like, there's kind of a, okay, are we going to get to this convention at some point? Because it seems like we're never going to get to there. Instead, we just have this kind of this spinning wheel of, she has her fantasy, she gets, her parents don't approve, she gets into a fight, something happens, and she's stuck back at square one. Yeah, it's like, and while that's enjoyable, that can get old really fast. Oh, and I should probably also admit that there's a mid-credit sequence where it seems like some type of authority figures, whether it's, the cops or the feds or maybe even damage control, have found a video of her at the convention and are intrigued. And that's all we see so far. So, okay, so that pretty much ends the spoiler section here. We'll wrap things up after the next break.
There is an evil so powerful, even evil fears it. Apocalypse is upon us. In X-Men Legends 2, you must unite sworn enemies, the X-Men and the Evil Brotherhood. Master their mutant powers, or all will perish. X-Men Legends 2, Rise of Apocalypse, rated T for teen, now with online gameplay.
Okay, so the next video is going to be the recap and review for episodes 3 and 4 of Obi-Wan. The next Ms. Marvel will be for episodes 2 and 3 of that show. Yeah, I guess it's going to probably be 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 on its own again. Anyway, after that, the next video after the Obi-Wan recap and review is going to be the random trade review on, yeah. I've actually shot the video, Littlest Pet Shop Volume 1, that's what I'm thinking of. Sorry. I shot that video basically last night, so that's all ready to go when that's edited and everything. This is going, like I said, this is going up first. I don't have any screen captures for Obi-Wan just yet, but I'll be shooting the video portion for the review right after this. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember, you can help support my channel at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions, where you can help request a movie, even if it's something like, say, Sonic the Hedgehog or the next Purge film. I'll review it.